2026 and the chances of World War III. My name is Bill. Welcome to the Night Terrors Weekend Show. We're starting right now. If you value what I do on the Night Terrors streams, one way to support the channel is through Patreon. Become a patron of the show by clicking on the Patreon link in the description below. Thanks for supporting the show. Welcome to Takahama Plateau and welcome to Eldergrown. Get started. Here at WashingtonMorning.com is a story written by Josh Weiner. Welcome to Eldergrown and welcome to Takahama Olson 2486. Welcome to Shane Riley. And Mr. Weiner begins. As the world enters the midpoint of the 2020s, political instability, military conflicts, and the rising nationalism have raised a haunting question once more. Are we on the brink of World War III? With wars flaring in Europe and the Middle East, mounting tensions in Asia, and superpowers increasingly at odds, many wonder whether a large-scale global conflict may not be too far off in the coming year. While predicting a world war is neither simple nor certain, experts and analysts agree that conditions for a major geopolitical rupture are more present now than at any other time since the Cold War. Here's a breakdown of the key risks, regions, and trends that could shape the answer. Welcome to It's Lynn. Multiple active conflicts could collide. Several regional wars are already raging, with global implications. Russia versus Ukraine. Now in its third year. What's the date of this article? 6 months ago. Oh, yeah. May have gone on to the fourth since. My memory's not that good as to when exactly this started, what date. The war has drawn in NATO support and deepened Western hostility toward Russia. An escalation, especially involving direct NATO-Russia combat, would be a historic turning point. It's Lens wants to know, do you do movie watch-alongs? We have done them in the past, but there are no plans right now of bringing them back. We did it for well over a year, but we haven't done it maybe in a little bit less than a year. Welcome to Butterfly Away. Israel versus Iran-backed militias. The war in Gaza has already dragged in Hezbollah, Yemen's Houthis, and threatens direct confrontation with Iran, a situation that could engulf the broader Middle East. India versus Pakistan. Welcome, Gotcha Man, and thank you, Gotcha Man, for resubscribing at Tier 1. Got quite a streak going there already. The latest Indian airstrikes in Pakistan, May of this year, and fears of nuclear miscalculation have reignited concerns over South Asia as the flashpoint. Then you have China versus Taiwan. Welcome, Brooke Birch. Good to see you, ma'am. Beijing's growing military pressure on Taiwan and confrontations with U.S. warships in the South China Sea remain a red line for the U.S. and its allies. While these are not yet linked, the simultaneous strain on diplomacy and military readiness across the globe increases the risk that a localized war could escalate into a global one. Welcome to Smooth Ranch from Taft, California. I envy your weather, Smooth. The return of great power rivalry. The post-Cold War unipolar world has ended. Now a multipolar system is emerging with the US, China, and Russia asserting competing spheres of influence. The US and China are locked in strategic competition over technology, military dominance, trade, and global influence. Taiwan, the South China Sea, and economic decoupling are all pressure points. Russia, well, thank you, Takahama Plateau, for the pretty jewels. Appreciate it, Taco. Thank you. Thank you, Elder. By the way, we need suggestions, people. So if you got any suggestions. Oh, that sounds good. Gotcha, man. Thank you. I'm copying that down right now. Welcome, Frog Fan. I was just saying, Frog Fan, if anyone has any suggestions, now is a really good time to pile on. Just insert them in chat. Welcome, Synchro 505. Mike provides all the incidental music for the show. The world is gradually redividing into blocks, much like before World War I and World War II. This realignment increases the chances that a spark in one region could ignite global alliances. Thank you, Shane. Much appreciated, sir. Number 3, nuclear weapons, a dangerous deterrent. There are now 9 nuclear-armed nations. The U.S., Russia, China, India, Pakistan, North Korea, United Kingdom, France, and Israel. The fear is not just conventional war anymore. One escalation could turn nuclear. And here are the bullet points. North Korea continues to test long-range missiles. Russia has issued repeated nuclear threats regarding Ukraine. And didn't Russia just do some kind of a nuclear test recently, too? Pakistan has a first-use policy which could apply in case of a large Indian assault. And China is rapidly expanding its nuclear arsenal and delivery systems. Nuclear weapons may deter all-out war, but they also raise the stakes of any misstep. The world's reliance on rational actors has become increasingly shaky in a time of populism and nationalism. Number 4. Cyber warfare and AI could make World War III unrecognizable. World War III, when it does begin, may not start with bombs, but with bytes. That's spelled B-Y-T-E. State-sponsored cyber attacks on infrastructure, satellites, power grids are already happening. AI-controlled drones, autonomous weapons, and misinformation could alter the rules of warfare. Nations like Russia, China, and the U.S., as well as Israel, are investing heavily in next-gen warfare tool. A global cyber conflict could collapse communication systems or financial networks, causing economic loss preceding physical war. Number 5. Oh, I didn't want to do that part. Diplomacy is weakening. Thank you, Frog Fan, for the suggestion. You are on the list, sir. Appreciate it. Copying that down. And got it. Thank you, sir. Well, without strong diplomatic channels. Wait, we didn't do the whole thing yet, did we? Perhaps the most alarming trend is the breakdown of global cooperation. Institutions like the UN, the G7, the WTO, World Trade Organization, are increasingly fragmented. Multilateral arms control agreements have collapsed. The rise of authoritarian leaders and populist politics has made international consensus harder to achieve. And without strong diplomatic channels, misunderstandings and brinkmanship are more likely to end in armed conflict. Here's our expert forecast. Colossus, the Forbin Project. Good recommendation, Elderground. Will World War III start by 2026? How about in 2026? While a full-scale world war involving dozens of countries across multiple continents remains unlikely in the immediate term, remember this was written 6 months ago, the risk of a large-scale multi-front conflict is the highest it's been in decades. The likelihood of a regional war expanding into world conflict is real, particularly in scenarios where alliances are triggered, such as NATO, or the alliance between the U.S. and Japan, or between U.S. and Taiwan. Experts from institutions like the Rand Corporation, Chatham House, and Brookings place the risk of global conflict in 2026 at moderate but rising, often cited as between 20 and 30%. So 6 months ago, maybe we're looking at a 33% now, easily. In other words, if you roll the dice, there's one chance out of 3 that we're out of luck. The greatest danger lies in uncontrolled escalation and the collapse of diplomatic restraint. The conclusion of Mr. Weiner. World War III is not inevitable, but the conditions that historically lead to world wars are all increasingly present. Economic hardship, nationalism, chains of alliance, the arms race, and diplomatic failures are all increasingly present. In 2026, if current trends are left unchecked, the world may no longer be debating whether a major war could happen, but instead wondering how to survive and recover from one. Time to prevent World War III is now, or the point of no return, he said to nobody listening. Nobody with enough power to act, or the motivation to. We need suggestions, people. Good suggestion, Elderground. I just saw that we repeat the suggestion on the other chat. Good idea. Elder is recommending Colossus, the Forbin Project, which may be available on YouTube. I think it is available for free on YouTube. You should check it out. It's about the ultimate accomplishment of AI to take over the world. Elderground describes it as prescient. Thank you, Elder. So we have 3 suggestions. That means we need more people. Our first suggestion at 14 minutes past the hour. We're going to take Gotcha Man first. And plug it into the Brave search engine here. Thank you, T Plateau. Mysterious sounds and lights in Lake Weyba, Bushland, have some residents spooked. Looks good. Got it, Taco. Thank you. Newsweek reported it. Holy cow. See what kind of a read we have. Let's close that ad. That's very short. That's a little too short. But it's interesting it's in the news. What's the date of that? 1 week ago. Also reported to ABC News. I assume similar brevity there. Daily Mail, of course. Oh, that's at Lake Mead. Well, looks like it's at least a recent development. Maybe all we're going to get is the abbreviated version. Just I don't know much about it yet. One for Lake Yellowstone. Mysterious sounds, like whispers. More mysterious sounds here. Let's open up that one as well. And we'll start with Newsweek. Well, let's check ABC real quick, see if they have any more details. Like they have two different sources. Maybe we'll do both news sources. Starting with Newsweek, and a story written by Jasmine Laws, entitled "Mysterious Sounds Reported at Lake Mead." Wait, that's Lake Mead. I want Weyba. There we go. There goes Newsweek. Thank you, Verpine, and welcome, sir. Verpine, we need suggestions, by the way, if you are in the mood. Here at abc.net.au, an Australian domain, I believe. Mysterious sounds and lights in Lake Weyba, Bushland, have some residents spooked. By Latia Cavender, Anna Gaffney, and Amy Sheehan. The caption here: a walker has reported hearing a humming noise during a hike near Lake Weyba. That's one calm-looking lake. Welcome, Big Daddy. And welcome, Eleanor. And Cavender, Gaffney, and Sheehan begin. While it may appear to be a paranormal phenomenon, ripped straight from the X-Files, one expert says there is an explanation for the humming noises and flickering lights, apparently hunting some Sunshine Coast residents. Talk of spooky experiences in the Lake Weyba area have sparked supernatural debate on social media after a walker asked if anyone had noticed anything strange. at the Phrygian end of the Noosa National Park. Or the Phrygian end. One of those two. Elder says, boo, experts. I was walking there today, Kara Eben said in a Facebook post, and heard a weird humming sound, like a human humming a tune. It followed me for 30 minutes. It sounded like it was getting closer before I left the fire track. Former Lake Weyba resident Sarah Jane Stockton said she also experienced strange things when she and her partner lived in a house that backed onto the bushland in that area. And here's a quote from her. We used to go walking down there a bit in the bush. We always had a feeling like we shouldn't be in there. It was a little bit of a spooky feeling. You would hear strange noises through the bush like someone was walking parallel to you. But there wasn't anyone there. This caption, Ms. Stockton with partner Ben King and their son, recalls a spooky feeling while living near the lake. But Ms. Stockton said the strangest experience was when she was woken one night to darting lights. We were lying in bed. There's no fence between our house and the bush. And this really strange light appeared, probably about 3 meters high, and it was darting across the front of the bushland. At first we thought, is it a torch? Americans read flashlight. But the way that it moved was too strange to be someone with a flashlight. We watched it for probably about 30 minutes, and then it disappeared. Completely gone. Crypto-naturalist weighs in. Tim the Yowie Man is the Australian National Museum's resident crypto-naturalist, a term he invented, meaning someone who studies rare, strange, and hidden phenomena in the natural world. He said the lights may have come from houses or vehicles. Unexplained lights, occasionally spotted in the Australian outback, are known as Min-Min lights, named after the remote Queensland town. He said, Min-Min lights are best described as strange balls of light, seen bouncing around, coming and going, usually white, but sometimes other colors. No matter how close you get to the light, just got a text here. No matter how close you try to chase it and reach it, and it always seems to be too far away. Interesting effect. This is what witnesses say Min-Min lights look like. Okay. Looks like 2 flashlights. Must check out my text. I have been getting emergency texts recently. I think Frog Fan has shown up. Thank you, Frog Fan. Tim said Min-Min light sightings were often just examples of light traveling from nearby. He said the light is bent around the curve of the globe due to different temperature layers of air. When the light hits a layer of cold air, it contracts that light and it can push it around the curve of the globe. He said the humming noise may be coming from the ocean. Both of these these explanations sound not very close to the mark to me, somehow. A Queensland National Parks and Wildlife spokesperson said rangers who frequently visited Lake Weyba had not heard or seen anything unusual there. Yeah, it looks like they're talking about the history of Australia in the chat. That's pretty cool. What do we have here? Isn't this more about the thing? Yeah, we're going to go to more mysterious booms. Mysterious booms and rumblings spook residents of Lake County, Illinois. This written by uncredited. Any author listed. From more mystery booms and skyquakes, more sky trumpet. No author given. This is at strangesounds.org. Dozens of residents in northern Lake County, Illinois, reported hearing a loud boom, like an explosion, and a rumbling like an earthquake Friday afternoon. But so far authorities have been unable to determine what caused it. There is no question many northern Lake County residents either heard or felt something Friday afternoon, but what it was remains a mystery. At about 3:30 p.m., emergency dispatch centers began getting reports of what sounded like a large explosion. It sounded to them like a large explosion. They didn't hear the sound itself, I imagine. Some social media posters said their homes were shaken. The situation passed in an instant, but generated much curiosity among residents in several communities. Had a home or business exploded? Was it an earthquake, a sonic boom? No one knew. Some reports. It was a very loud boom sound. It sounded like a BOMB going off. At the same time, my chair shook. I expected to hear sirens. It sounded like a large car door slamming. I asked 2 other people in my house if they'd felt or heard it, and both said yes. Sitting in the living room sounded like thunder, but it shook the whole house, and other people in the area felt it too. It felt like something really heavy dropped on the ground, like a heavy thud, and the house shook underneath me for a couple seconds. I was on the 2nd floor of my house. I can't describe it. I experienced multiple vibrations. It sounded and felt very similar to the plant explosion that happened in this area a couple of years ago. I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden, almost like an explosion or a very big weapon went off from very far away. It was raining at the time, so I thought lightning struck the house. Everything shook in the house when it happened. Police officers also hear and feel the bang. At about the same time, Lake County Sheriff's Deputy Michael Nudie was outside his vehicle taking a report at Route 41 and Stern School Road, near Wadsworth, when he heard one big boom. Just dropped my pen. Gotta just grab another one out of the folder here. And I'm good. And it writes. The officer said, all of a sudden we heard what I thought was an explosion. I pegged it several miles north of my location. I saw it, Rock Fan. It came through immediately. That was my text message that I got that I took a little break for, and I really appreciate it, Frog Fan. Thank you so much. Other deputies also heard a noise and began checking their areas. There was no evidence anything had blown up in Lake County. Authorities in southern Wisconsin said Monday there were no explosions. or any related reports on Friday afternoon. Nudie said Monday, we were never able to pinpoint it. I'd love to figure it out, but it's just a big mystery at this point. Earthquake or something else. Unconfirmed reports of an earthquake began circulating shortly thereafter. Nudie said he had experienced 2 minor earthquakes in the past, but Friday's event was not like that. He didn't feel the ground shake. Thank you, Verpine, for the super chat. Verpine, I don't know, can't remember the word. Entertains us with the trumpet sound. The sky trumpet sound. Thank you, Verpine. Underground says, Wisconsin represent of their cheese. The officer said, in an earthquake, you can feel the ground moving. It feels almost like you're dizzy. Blay Moiser felt something and isn't sure what to think. At the same time, he called to his son upstairs, thinking a piece of heavy furniture had fallen. He said, it sounded like somebody dropped a bowling ball right next to me. Don Blakeman, a geophysicist with the U.S. Geological Survey's Earthquake Information Center, said nothing registered Friday in northern Lake County. He said, I don't see anything I would remotely call an earthquake at that time. Of course, they keep they have machines that are running constantly that will tell you if there's any kind of disturbance in the area. They saw nada. Nothing. Sonic booms are sometimes mistaken for earthquakes, according to Blakeman. So are mining blasts. According to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, otherwise known as NASA, a sonic boom is a thunder-like noise a person on the ground hears when an aircraft flies overhead faster than the speed of sound, about 750 miles an hour. The boom creates a shock wave, just like a boat creates a wake in the water. Whether that may have been the case Friday in Lake County remains unknown. Blakeman said small earthquakes can happen just about anywhere, but northern Illinois is not seismically active. I said seismically. Nudie said, I would love to know what it was. It's driving me nuts. That's the officer speaking. More mystery booms and skyquakes. More sky trumpets. In honor of Verpine, check out some sky trumpet. Sky trumpets are eerie horn-like or metallic groaning sounds reported across the world. Sometimes so loud, entire neighborhoods stop and listen. Colin Lambedarn is here. Welcome, Colin. A superlative composer in his own right. Some recordings resemble rusty gates the size of skyscrapers. Others are deep, otherworldly horns. Explanations range from atmospheric acoustics and industrial noise to seismic coupling. Not every clip is authentic, but enough remain unexplained to keep the mystery alive. Key facts. Too long, didn't read. Sky trumpets equal real reports and real recordings. Some fakes exist. Typical sound, long droning horns, metallic groans. Likely contributors. What to do if you hear them. Record. Note the time and weather. Check construction or flight or seismic data. Compare with cases below and send us a report. Strangesounds.org asks. Sky trumpets, also called strange sounds in the sky or sky horns, apocalyptic horns, are unexplained horn-like noises coming from the sky. They often occur on calm days, carry long distances, and are sometimes captured on doorbell cams or on cell phones. How they sound and feel. Prolonged resonant horns, sometimes rising and falling in pitch. Metallic gate or ship hull groans, often stronger during early morning or evening temperature inversion. Famous sky trumpet events, 1934, Greenland. Early scientific accounts of strange horn-like humming over the inland ice. Wow, is there a link to that historical report? I wish they had. Here's the abstract of the Nature article. During the month of August 1932, when setting up the French expedition of the International Polar Year in Scoresby Sound on the East Greenland coast, some of my colleagues and I heard 4 times the mysterious sound called by the late Professor Wegner Ton der Dolbai. The sound was heard in the morning, generally at 11 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, and also during the afternoon. There was a powerful and deep musical note coming far from the south, and lasting for a few seconds. It resembled the roaring of a foghorn. After that, it was not heard during the course of the polar year. I'd like to read the whole article. Welcome, David Bryce Jr. Good evening, David. Settings for cookies. David. All right, next up at. We need suggestions, people. Any suggestions out there? Next up from FogFan. In the chat, people are talking about the sound that happened locally here on the show when the house exploded because of they kept like about, I don't know, a couple dozen portable propane tanks in their cellar. It's against New York state law to keep them inside a dwelling. And that occurred, that killed 2 people, and could be heard from very far away. And at 39 minutes past the hour, Frog Fan's suggestion is whatever happened to Randolph Scott? Inquiring people want to know. Three days ago. He retired in 62. Thank you for being. Very nice, sir. Much appreciated, V. Thank you. Most of these articles are entitled Whatever Happened to Randolph Scott. It must be the name of a book. It is. It's also a song by the Statler Brothers. Welcome, Juji6499. Thank you, sir, for the compliment. Juji says, good content, sir. Much appreciated. Good to see you. Guitar Party. Who wrote Whatever Happened to Randolph Scott? Welcome to Caius Postumius Trinus. Welcome, Caius. Caius Postumus Trinus. Questions on Reddit. Whatever happened to Randolph Scott? Go to the next page. Let's try this one. Buffalo Reflex. .com. A story entitled Campbell. Whatever happened to Randolph Scott? Attention subscribers. Oh, looks like we can't read that one. Please log in to continue. Okay, what a shame. Need a story, not a book review. Let's try what happened. What happened to Randolph's? Trying to avoid getting the what happened. How about what happened? What happened? Okay, let's go to Los Angeles Times for the answer to this. Or the American Catholic. See if that one is, it would be sufficient. Yeah, this looks good. Randolph Scott. This article, written by Donald R. McClary. Thank you, Caius, for the super chat. Caius says, Bill, are you familiar with the lost time theory? I have heard of missing time, and you have just volunteered to be one of our show topics tonight. Thank you, Caius. We're going to include that one in the mix. The story entitled Whatever Happened to Randolph Scott. And it's at theamericancatholic.com. Mr. McClary begins. Whatever Happened to Randolph Scott by the Statler Brothers. A 1974 lament of how tawdry movies have become. It fastened on Randolph Scott, king of the B-movie Western, as an icon for a better day, when kids could be taken to the movies without parents being concerned about what they'd be exposed to. I heard this song endlessly when it came out, writes the author. My parents' radio blaring it most mornings in the kitchen. In 1974, in the hour before I and my brother got up to prepare for yet another day in high school. Scott was born as far from the West as it was possible to be, in Virginia, and raised in North Carolina. His family had money. His family had money, so he was educated in private school. During the First World War, he served as an artillery observer in France, a highly dangerous posting. After Pearl Harbor, the 43-year-old Scott attempted to enlist as a Marine, but was rejected due to a bad back. After his service in the First World War, thank you, Elder. We have another Caius. Phantom Time. We'll keep that in abeyance for the time being. Thank you, Elder, and thank you, Caius. And we're going to find out if Lost Time is the same as Phantom Time when the time comes. And it will be tonight. He worked for a time with his father in the textile industry in North Carolina. In 1927, he moved to California to embark on an acting career with a letter of introduction from his father to Howard Hughes. The next few years saw him develop his acting skills with bit parts and small roles. 4 years later, he had his first leading role in the film Women, Men, Marry. The year after that, in the film Heritage of the Desert, Scott played his first leading role in a Western, the first of 10 films he would make based on Zane Grey novels. Until the conclusion of World War II, Scott starred in a variety of film genres. But after the war, he concentrated solely on Westerns. Scott was a modest man and always underestimated his considerable skill as an actor. He was comfortable in Westerns and decided to stick with them. It was an inspired choice. As he aged, his handsome features took on a weathered, stoic look. And that's what helped make him a Western icon. A Western movie icon. Scott did not financially need to make films after the war. Shrewd land purchases in California helped make him a multimillionaire. And he increasingly looked upon his acting as a hobby. By 1962, he was ready to retire, but convinced to make one last Western with his friend Joel McCrea. McCrea and Scott had much in common. Both had become very wealthy through land, and neither needed the work. After World War II, McCrea had gravitated to be Western, and both he and Scott were staunch Republicans. The film they made in '62 is now regarded as a classic, Ride the High Country. It was the second film to be directed by Sam Peckinpah. It tells the tale of two former Old West lawmen who have fallen on hard times. Steve Judd, Joel McCrea, has been hired by a bank in the early years of the last century to bring back $20,000 in gold from a mining camp. Judd is elated because this is the first lawman-like job he's had in a very long time. He runs into his old friend, Gil Westrom, Randolph Scott, who's making a meager living running a shooting gallery and a circus. Judd invites Westrom and his young friend Heck Longtree, played by Ron Starr, to join him in the job. They agree, Westrom and Longtree planning to steal the gold. As the film proceeds, it becomes obvious that Judd still holds to the same code of honor and honesty he upheld as a lawman. Westrom does not, having grown bitter with age, viewing the gold as his reward for his courage as a lawman. A courage that was not rewarded monetarily and left him facing a hard-scrabble old age. Ultimately, Judd realizes that what Westrom is up to and disarms both him and Longtree, planning to put them on trial for attempted robbery. The plot is complicated by Elsa Knudsen. Elsa Knudsen, played by Marriott Hartley in her screen debut, who the trio rescue from a minor she has just married, who plans to have her serve not only as his bride, but also as the bride of his 4 brothers. You don't see that plot point too often. Longtree grows to admire Judd for his courage and stubborn honesty while Westrom escapes, only to ride to the rescue at the end of the film to help Judd. In the finale of the film, Judd and Westrom confront the remaining 3 deranged brothers in a point-blank gunfight in the finest B-movie Western tradition. Okay, folks, let's move on to the next suggestion from Takahama Plateau. Take these away as I use. Whoops. Take them away. There they go. And T Plateau would like to know, at 52 minutes past the hour, who is the Oakland County child unaliver? Evidently a serial unaliver. We could probably use another suggestion, Green Tea. What do you have? Ooh, we have a 50 years later. Probably a shortish story. It's from a news station. Everything we know about. Click on Detroit. Let's check that one out. Here at clickondetroit.com is a story by Kayla Clark entitled Everything We Know About the Oakland County Child Unaliver Case. Oh my goodness. 4 kids. Oakland County, Michigan. It's been 47 years since the first known victim of the Oakland County child killer was abducted and murdered. Mark Stebbins, age 12, vanished in 1976, the bicentennial year. He was found unalive 4 days later. Police believe a serial unalived Stebbins and 3 other children in Oakland County between 76 and 77. The children were all last seen within a mile of Woodward Avenue. They had been fed and cared for until their demise. The unaliver or unalivers bathed them or made them bathe. The killer is known primarily as the Oakland County child unaliver, but they are also known as the babysitter or the babysitter unaliver. The investigation into the serial killings was the largest of its kind in U.S. history at the time. Michigan State Police confirmed the investigation is still open. and all new tips are investigated as they come in. Anyone with information should contact 1-855-642-4847. There are 4 children police consider confirmed victims in the case. Mark Stebbins, 12. Jill Robinson, 12. Christine Mielek, 10. And Timothy King, 11. Thank you, Green Tea, for the topic. Got it, honey. Thank you so much. All 4 children were unalive between February 1976 and March of 1977. 2 of the victims were girls and 2 boys. Police believe only the boys had been SA'd. The cause of death in 3 of the cases is listed as suffocation. But Jill Robinson was unalived with a shotgun. Mark Stebbins had been missing for 4 days before his body was found near an office complex in Southfield. The 12-year-old boy spoke to his mother on the phone. On February the 15th, he called her to let her know he was leaving the American Legion Hall in Ferndale to head home. He never arrived. His mother called Ferndale police at 11 p.m. that night to report him missing. Thank you, Gotcha Man. Got it. His body was discovered 4 days later. A businessman named Mark Bodegeimer was walking toward a drugstore located inside the New Orleans Mall when he thought he saw a mannequin dressed in a blue jacket and jeans. As he approached, he realized he had discovered a child's body. That was 11:45 in the morning. Another person told police they walked their dog around that parking lot 9:30 a.m. the morning the body was found. The man said his dog was on a 20-foot leash, and they walked around that part of the parking lot. If the body was there at that time, his dog would have found it. If the man is correct, that means Mark's body was not in the parking lot at 9:30, but it was at 11:45. Thank you, Elder. Relaying a request from Big Daddy. Thank you, Big Daddy. Got it. Mark was a 7th grade student at Lincoln Junior High. 4 foot 8 inches tall and 100 pounds in weight. The autopsy listed his cause of death as asphyxia by way of smothering and noted rope burns on his neck, wrists, and ankles. He had been SA'd. L. Brooks Patterson, who was the Oakland County prosecutor at the time, said the boy's body was washed by an autopsy team, which washed away any fingerprints. Get your house in order. His brother, Michael Stebbins, told Local 4 in 2021, "I'm just hoping that maybe something can come out after all these years. I would hope that if anybody out there has information in the case, they would please put it forward." because it's been a very long 45 years for me with no answers at all. Jill Robbins. Jill Robinson had been missing for 4 days before her body was found on the side of I-75. She left home on December the 22nd after an argument. Carol Robinson, Jill's mother, said they were arguing because Jill had been asked to make biscuits for dinner, and she said no. Carol told Jill to leave until she became part of the family. Jill went to her room, got dressed, packed up her clothes and a blanket into a denim bag, and left. She rode her bike away from home. She was spotted by a family friend at a hobby shop on Woodward Avenue, just 4.5 blocks away from her home. Her father, Thomas Robinson, called the police at 11:30 p.m. the day she left to report her missing. Witnesses said they saw Jill in the donut depot on Maple Road between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. that morning. What was the time of the argument? Said they were arguing. Asked to make biscuits for dinner. The day she left. What's such a deal? That morning. I think they mean the morning after she left. I think that's what they mean. When those witnesses saw her at Donut Depot. Her body was discovered on the side of I-75, north of Big Beaver Road, 4 days later. Her killer had transported her there and shot her at close range in the head with a shotgun. She was laid on her back and fully clothed. Police said there were no signs of SA. Christine Mielek had been missing for 19 days before her body was found in a snowbank in Franklin Village. The 10-year-old girl lived with her mother in Berkeley, and she was a 5th grade student at Pattengill Elementary. She was last seen on January the 2nd. She left the bowling alley where her mother worked to go to a 7-Eleven. Her body was discovered by a mail carrier in a snowbank at the end of a dead-end street on January the 21st. Her body was so frozen, officials had to wait until the next day to perform the autopsy. Surprised it was thawed by then. Police said there were no signs of violence, and she was in the same clothes she was last seen in. Her body was on its back, knees drawn up. She had not been essayed. Her cause of death was listed as suffocation. Christine's mother filed a lawsuit against prosecutors and investigators, alleging the case had been mishandled. The family said the case was handled so badly, they feel any hope of learning who their daughter's killer is has been lost. Timothy King. Timothy King had been missing for 7 days before his body was found in a Livonia ditch. Livonia ditch. The 11-year-old boy is the 4th victim to be connected to the Oakland County child killer. He was last seen on March 16, 1977. He left his Birmingham home with 30 cents he borrowed from his older sister. He left for the Hunter Maple Pharmacy. The trip was 3 blocks, and he often made that trip. A clerk at the pharmacy said she sold Tim candy at 8:30 p.m. He left through the back door into the parking lot, which was dark. Before Tim left home, he asked his sister to leave the door ajar for him. His sister also left home that night. Their parents returned to the home at 9 p.m. to find the door ajar and no sign of Tim. The family searched everywhere. By 9:15 a.m. the next morning, Police called on a task force to help investigate. Tim was the seventh child to go missing in that area, and tensions were at an all-time high. That morning, headquarters were established just a few blocks from his home. Police conducted door-to-door searches and interviewed his classmates. "We want him to come home," Tim's father said. Body was found in a ditch along Gill Road. He was found by a motorist, just a short distance away from a busy intersection. He was wearing the same clothes he had on when he left for the pharmacy. His skateboard was found about 15 feet away from his body. The autopsy revealed Tim had been fed his favorite meal, Kentucky Fried Chicken, cleaned and groomed thoroughly before he was suffocated. Boy, is that one sick, SOB. There was evidence he had been SA'd. It was after Tim's murder that the police knew they were investigating a serial child unaliver. They organized the largest manhunt in U.S. history, and a task force was established. Next up at 6 minutes past the hour, we're going to call it 7. It's so close to 7. At 7 minutes past the hour, a suggestion from Rapine. That is. Dead air. That is. The Wytheville UFO sightings and the Men in Black. Interesting. Before we do that, however, I do have to find my shoes. It's getting nippy in here. Eldergon wants to know, do they have KFC in the UK? They have it in Japan. Real popular in Japan. So, I get my shoes. I have this short feature I just edited. It's pretty good. It is... Okay. It is in here, and... No, it is. And in here. And, oh, I already have it. Already have it ready to go. European says KFC is a Christmas tradition in Japan. Okay, guys, let's see how long this is. This is basically someone's in the house. Scary story. Pretty good.
I think there's someone in the house. It's middle of the night. I think there's someone in the house. Hello? 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 Hi. Hello?
The Wytheville UFO sightings of the Men in Black. Oh, I didn't search yet. Search now. This suggestion from Verpine. Thank you, Green Tea. Yeah, that's a pretty creepy one, huh? Creative Commons allowed me to edit that. I slapped it on what's now the last episode of banned by YouTube. Oh, here we go. Paranormal Scholar. Yeah, it was pretty good, wasn't it, Mike? It won an award of some kind, Best Promising Director or something like that. Here at the paranormalscholar.com is a story by Laura Roughton. Thank you, Verpine. Entitled Wytheville UFO Sightings and the Men in Black. Roughton. Ms. Roughton begins. Reports of men in black date back at least to the 40s. Described as dressing in all black suits and black hats, these shadowy figures are said to deliver veiled threats to those who dare discuss publicly the existence of UFOs and aliens. Who they are is a mystery, with speculation ranging from government-backed agencies charged with keeping ET secrets out of the hands of ordinary citizens to ETs themselves, intent on observing those with connections to alien activity. In early October of 1987, Danny Gordon, a radio journalist for the country music station WWIIE, heard a local report of a UFO in his hometown, Whiteville, Virginia. The news came from the sheriff's department and stated that 4 police officers, 3 of whom were deputies and former military men, had witnessed a strange object in the sky on the previous night. Being a very skeptical newsman, Denny decided to report the story as a humorous piece, something to conclude his news segment on a light-hearted note. What he could not have anticipated was the response from his listeners. Reports of a similar UFO sighting flooded in, so much so that Denny set up a special call-in program for the following week. Discussing the call-in program on the 25th anniversary of the sightings, Danny Gordon described it as a lightning rod moment. After that, he said, every day the phone would ring off the hook. The people of Whiteville had not only witnessed similar sky anomalies as the police officers, but were willing to share what they had seen. And they give a quote from 2 caller transcripts. The first, it looks like something about like an egg shape. And the other color, what we could see was red, green, and white, sort of flashing lights. We saw a plane go by with red flashing lights. We knew it was not a jet of any sort. Determined that there was a rational explanation for the strange sightings, such as experimental military aircraft. Danny felt the situation would resolve itself in time and the sightings would ebb away. He was wrong. Local residents continued to witness strange lights in the sky, with their suspicions raised when rumors spread around the town that the local military had unconvincingly explained the sightings as planes refueling midair above residents' houses. To help clarify the situation, Denny states that he called the Pentagon and talked to the Air Force general there, who told him that under no circumstance would refueling occur under 13,000 feet, and that the reported sightings of strange lights and craft, which were spotted no more than 5,000 feet above the ground, were simply not the U.S. Air Force. With the sightings still unexplained, Danny and his friend, Roger Hall, decided to investigate further. In this caption reading one of the series of images that Danny Gordon captured went out one evening with his ... Is that like a series of images here? Oh yeah. Weird. Well, those are the... So there's three pictures basically. These two separate ones, and there they are closer up. The egg, says Synchro. Dumbstruck by what they were witnessing, neither men were able to photograph the object, despite having gone out that night armed with cameras. The following evening, the men went out again, and this time managed to photograph the anomaly. When the pictures were developed, they only showed vague streaks of light in the sky. At least they showed something. Did I miss the sighting itself? With the sighting still unexplained, Danny and his friend Roger Hall decided to investigate. They headed out to the location of one of the sighting hotspots. After a fruitless search, on their return to town about 8:45, they saw a very unusual object coming across the horizon. Danny stopped the car, and both men jumped out. Danny described seeing a craft which was very large, with a dome-shaped top and no wing, and had what appeared to be a strobe putting out multicolored lights. From one side, Roger Hall stated that the object was probably less than 1,000 feet away and 1,000 feet in the air. Danny Gordon is warned to leave the Wytheville UFOs alone, and here come the men in black. Ready to share his findings with his audience, Danny arranges a press conference. The night before, he receives a phone call from somebody refusing to identify themselves. Eerily, the stranger warned Danny that, quote, the CIA and the federal government are very much interested in the White County UFOs, and that it was something that he needed to leave alone, because it was not his place to be messing in defense matters. End quote. The following night, after the press conference, Danny returned home to discover his house had been broken into. Nothing was missing, but it looked like someone, whoever broke in, had been searching for something. Quote from Danny Gordon, I started to wonder what I had stepped into, and my wife was urging me to back off and leave it alone. End quote. Far from being over, reports of UFOs continue to flood White County. 6 weeks after the press conference, Danny caught sight of strange objects in the sky for a third time. He and his wife and his daughter were leaving the shopping center when everyone in the area stopped to look up. Danny recalls a group of school children pointing and shouting at the sky. Supposedly there were 4 different aircraft flying in formation, but making no sound. According to Danny's estimates, there were 200 people who witnessed the flyover. Once again, Danny was able to photograph the crafts in 4 separate photos. There we go. Wow, that's weird, man. So this is the one with the 200 witnesses. Seeming to maintain formation. 2, 3, and 4. Wow, amazing. And no additional lights. So probably not aircraft. Here's a quote from Daniel. We looked very quickly and saw what I thought was a large object. which later appeared to be 4 flying discs. As soon as the objects were photographed, they disappeared from view. When the pictures came out, there was a lot of graininess, but they showed 4 definite shapes of objects in the sky. Most impressive, in the 4 photographs, the objects appeared to change shape within 1 click from the camera. They go from a teardrop shape to the shape of a round ball to a flying saucer disc shape, and then go to an egg shape as they move out of sight. End quote from Danny Gordon. Welcome to Dinkamasi. Danny once again phoned the Pentagon and pushed for answers. The response he allegedly received was shocking. Speaking with the spokesman for defense at the Pentagon, he was told, "We do not deny UFOs exist. The government confirms they exist, but we deny they pose a threat to the people of White County." When Danny asked how the spokesman could know such a thing, he was bluntly told that no further information could be given. Danny continued his investigation. One night, however, after receiving yet another strange phone call, he began to wonder if he was making the right decision. He says he was contacted by a retired military intelligence officer who asked him to record their conversation so that if anything happened to him, it was on record that he had been forewarned. The man told Danny that he too had been researching UFOs, to a tragic end. What I'm telling you, Danny, is I've been pursuing this thing for many years, and like I said, I saw my child die of leukemia. The man claimed that because of his research, his son had been targeted. What I'm telling you is that they will try to hit you if they think it's advisable for their purposes, to keep you from further investigating. And then most likely, it would be done through skin contact chemicals. Sounds like a Russian technique. Something on the doorknob or the door latch of your car, or on your car's steering wheel. They could also come up with something or do something to your children. Segments from the original taped conversation were publicly broadcast during an episode of NBC's Unsolved Mysteries. Understandably, the conversation left Danny chilled. Regardless, he continued his research. Men in Black visit him in Wytheville. Less than a month later, 2 strange men in black arrived at his home. Supposedly journalists wishing to write an article about Danny and the UFOs for their newspaper. The men stayed for about 45 minutes, one interviewing Danny, the other wandering around the house taking pictures. As they left, they said they would send Danny a copy of the article when it was published. When it didn't arrive, Danny contacted the newspaper for which they claimed to work. But they had no record of these journalists. They stated the 2 men did not work for them. Another quote from Danny. "So who they were, I don't know, but they were in my house. They saw my photographs, they saw my negatives, they talked to my family, they took pictures, and then left. And they were not with the newspaper." It was some time after this meeting, Danny realized the negatives of the photos he had taken outside the shopping center were missing. Someone had taken the original images of the 4 UFO photographs. "I felt like maybe there was something in those photographs I wasn't seeing," says Danny. "So I took them to some other people to look at. We used magnifying glasses. We measured angles, trying to find out why these were so important." to no avail. But here's the story. UFOs have ruined my life. By now, Danny was living alone. His wife and daughter had moved out, exhausted and living in fear of what may happen to them as Danny continued his search. 2 months later, Danny had a stress-induced heart attack. He had to stop his investigation. By the time he left White County, he had collected 3,000 sightings from telephone calls and conversations with people on the street. Speaking years later, Danny spoke of his regrets and how he handled it. If I had the choice, he said, I would not report the UFO story again. It's just been too hard on my life and has created too many problems. Next up at 31 minutes past the hour is a suggestion from Caius Postumus Tyrannus. And that is did I miss a suggestion here? Oh, I don't see frog fans. Lost time. The time loop theory of lost. No. Theory of lost time. Theory of lost time in the context of the TV series Lost. No. Yeah, Elder, I have that link. I'm just not sure that lost time is the same as phantom time. Let's ask AI. Test. Is phantom time also known as lost time? Also known as lost time. He affirmed that was the correct theory. Okay, thank you, Elder. Although it says phantom time and lost time refer to different ideas. Yeah, I'm not sure if he meant missing time or lost time or phantom time. Lost time and missing time being the same thing, which is a missing period of personal consciousness or memory, whereas phantom time is missing centuries in recorded history. Some good advice from Elder Rome. So here at bigthink.com, I hate to think I lost Frog Fan's suggestion. Let me see if I can go really quick here, page up here, and see if I can find it. Because I wanted to cover it. I am not seeing it. No, I'm not seeing it. List. Maybe it was on the other side. Frog on the other side as well. Oh, well. Here at bigthink.com is a story by Tim Brinkhoff entitled Phantom Time Hypothesis. Did a power-hungry pope fabricate centuries of history? Phantom time. It's phantom time. According to the phantom time hypothesis, the years 611 to 911 AD never happened. I did Frog Fan's suggestion? Okay. Thank you, Elder. They were allegedly fabricated by Pope Sylvester II and Holy Roman Emperor Otto III to give their reigns religious significance. While historians should always be skeptical about the past, the phantom time hypothesis is more conspiracy theory than scholarship. Sounds a little debunky. Yeah, it's like a lot of debunking. Let's look up phantom time separately. Phantom time hypothesis. Do evidence. Research for that yet? No, yet. Maybe we did. A couple of Wikipedia entries. History facts. There we go. At unexpectedtraveler.com, there is a story entitled The Phantom Time Hypothesis, written by Anonymous, looks like. References. No author given. Welcome again, Crowman. And the anonymous author begins. Let's go down a tab here. There are dark corners of the internet where I have found mentions of the phantom time hypothesis. This suggests that the years between 614 AD and 911 AD do not exist. Or did not. But how can that be? Thank you, Elder. You were the man. How can human history have misplaced 300 years of history? The hypothesis. This is the brainchild of German amateur historian Herbert Illich. In 1996, he published Das erfundene Mittelalter, die größte Zeitfälschung der Geschichte, which translates to The Invented Middle Ages, the greatest time falsification in history. In his book, he presents that by his calculations, there are 297 missing years in human history. This was a plot by Pope Sylvester II and Holy Roman Emperor Otto III. The two wanted their reign to coincide with the year 1000, exactly a millennium after the birth of Christ. Welcome, Tina Tomsky. Tina Tomaszewski is one of the original gangsters of Night Terrors. Welcome, Tina. Illich concluded that these two were not happy tinkering with a calendar to have a nice round number. According to him, the two employed scribes to create and copy medieval manuscripts, which would give the impression that more had happened in the past than actually did. Welcome to Turtles Are Not Real. Hope things are good with you as well, Turtle. These fabrications included people like Emperor Charlemagne and English King Alfred the Great. Illich was not the only person making such a bold claim. A Russo-centric variant. Anatoly Fomenko was a mathematics professor at Moscow State. He suggested our understanding of the standard timeline of history is wrong. Pharaonic Egypt, dynastic China, classical Greece, and imperial Rome all took place in the Middle Ages. Civilization, he posited, did not get going until about 800 AD. In Fomenko's colorful calendar, someone wrote the biblical New Testament before the Old Testament. The Crusades and the Trojan War are the same thing. Genghis Khan is the same person as Attila the Hun. Emperor Charlemagne was a great believer in education and history. He employed many scribes of his own to copy and recopy ancient texts. It's because of him that key texts from classical times still exist, or so conventional history claims. Conspiracy theorists like Fomenko and Illich claim scribes invented whatever they wrote. While they were at it, the stories of Charlemagne's life are also fake. Since the texts we have are copies, not originals, how do you tell if the copy is authentic and accurate? And how can you fake a calendar? It's true to say this sort of thing has actually happened before. The current Western calendar is known as the Gregorian because it was defined by Pope Gregory XIII. Before 1582, they didn't have leap years, which means the calendar was not as accurate as it could be. It also means that over a period of a few hundred years, dates began to no longer make sense. The vernal equinox, for example, had shifted from March 21st to March 11th. The Gregorian calendar fixes this by adding an extra day every 4 years. This little trick allows our calendar to stop shifting. But they needed to fix the problem they had. They decided to agree to jump forward by 10 days, so the day after the 4th of October was the 15th of October. Those 10 days do not exist. So there have been instances where time was lost, so to speak. We should also keep in mind that the European calendar was modified a few other times in the past. Many monks have done mental arithmetic to find the right date for Roman Catholic religious festivals. One key example being the celebration by Roman Catholics of the Annunciation, when Mary gets pregnant with Jesus. On the 25th of March, and then celebrates Jesus' birth on Christmas on December 25th. That's a neat and precise 9 months, which is rare in human biology. It is? I thought 9 months was go-to. We could ask AI, I guess. With as much exactitude as possible. How many days does it take a human being to go from conception to birth? On average. Tina thought the same thing. Everyone says 9 months. I thought it was 9 months. They taught us the wrong things, Tina. On the average, it takes about 266 days from conception to birth. Okay, we got a couple of things to do here to figure out this exactly right. Just a couple simple things. First of all, 356 days in a year, right? 356 days in a year divided by 52. Divided by 52? Divided by 52. Divided by 7 days. 6.8. Doesn't make sense. Let me try 356. It's getting more complicated in my head now. 356 divided by 12. There we go. 29 days. And that divided by 4. No. That divided by 7. Times 4. That divided by 7. There. It looks like 4.24 weeks in a month. So using the same process, 266 days. What I do first? Divided by, I forgot what I did first. Just divided by 7. I must know, Elder. 38, which is 9 times. Oh, wait, what is 38's is the result of adding 2 primes. So it's, so that's 38 what? We divided by 7, right? 38 weeks. Exactly 38 weeks. So 38 divided by 4. Yeah, that's number of weeks. 38 divided by 4. 9.5 months. Or 9.5 weeks. 9.5 weeks. I think that's, no, 9. What? I'm so bad at numbers. Why do I do this to myself? Crowman says, we're back in math class now, and we're failing. Back button. No. Yeah, 38. So 9.5. 38 weeks. Divided by 4. Should have been divided by 4. No, it'd have to be 4.24, right? 38 weeks. Here's a definitive answer. 38 weeks. Divided by 4.24. There it is. 8.96 months. Not exactly 9 months. Welcome to Feathers. Dinkamasi says there's 365 days in a year, not 356. Okay, that's even more interesting. Too bad Dinkamasi had to say that. 365 days in a year. Divided by. So what's the first one to determine divided by 12? Equals 30.41 days in a month. That divided by 7 is how many weeks in a month. 4.34 weeks in a month. Interesting. Elder Growth says if a train leaves Chicago at 6 p.m., going north at 60 miles an hour. Okay. Back to Phantom Time. Where were we? We also should keep in mind that the European calendar, we said, I did that already. That's a neat and precise 9 months, which is rare in human biology. Not that rare. Because as we can see from our calculations, we have to multiply by 7 to see that. No, we have to divide, what was it? 280 what? 266 days divided by that figure. So we have to add that to our memory. Memory plus. That's the number of weeks. No, that's the number of days. So we could multiply this by 7. Yeah, times 7. And then add that to memory. That to the memory. And divide 266 by memory. 266 divided by memory recall? Wrong one. It was 30-something, wasn't it? I better stop while I'm ahead. Well, the teen alarm just went off, which means that, yeah, it's late. I'm going to save these fine suggestions, the rest of these fine suggestions for next week's show when we'll see you next time. Don't forget to follow Tina over to Peter McCarthy's YouTube channel because he's starting a live show in 6.5 minutes, and you do not want to miss it. Yeah, join us here next Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Until then, may God bless and protect us all.